What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to do a video on how I do maintenance on my 20-gallon Planet aquarium here. The tank to the left of me is doing great. I've been keeping up on water changes. Even after going on vacation, I've just been keeping on that general maintenance schedule. As far as the 20 long, I've kind of been neglecting it for a while. I went on vacation. My main concern was the farm tank, so this tank got a little neglected. Today I'm going to go through how I control algae, just regular plant maintenance. It's kind of overgrown a little bit, so I'm just going to go through how I do maintenance on a Planet tank. So this video is kind of just general maintenance on Planet aquariums, especially when they're kind of overgrowing and getting a little bit of algae. Right now I've got two filters running on this aquarium. One is from my aquarium upstairs that I'm rescaping, so I'm kind of just keeping the cycle going on that filter while I'm doing the rescape upstairs. So if you've got floating plants, you know they grow super quick. So I'm just going to I'm actually going to throw some of these away. Get rid of some because it blocks out the light after a while. And these grow really fast. So I'll just kind of get rid of some of these. They'll grow back really fast. I have some red root floaters in here somewhere. Just a little bit. I want to make sure I don't pull those out. Alright, got the floaters pulled out. As you can see, I pulled out a lot. This will grow back in like 2 weeks. I'm just kind of going through, making sure I didn't pull any red root floaters out because I am trying to propagate those. Right now I'm just shutting off both filters. Get these suction cups off. And I like to just hang them in the bucket. Gotta be careful with these glass ones. I've broken these before. I'll probably take these up to the upstairs to clean. With glass lily pipes, it works to push them in a little bit, then you can pull them right out. So we'll put those to the side, and I want to get as much water out of these tubes as possible. I'm going to set these over to the side here, and yeah, it's been a while on this tank. A lot of algae growing on there. So I bought these magic erasers. They're just little sheets, not like the big sponge looking one. They're nice. First thing I always do is just wipe down the glass. Soon I'll be redoing this tank. I got some aqua soil I'm going to put in it. Some Landon. This is Fluval aqua soil. Fluval aqua soil doesn't have as many nutrients in it, and I can tell. It's a good substrate, just in my experience, plants don't grow as well in it. And I'm probably going to build a stand right here to get two 20-gallon longs on here, because this stand is a little rickety. And I'm going to unplug the heater, give the heater a little clean with the magic eraser, get the side over here. Now I got the glass all scraped off. It's all murky. I think I'm going to take all the floating plants out until the end. So with these floating plants, their roots get really long. I like to just take some scissors and cut the roots so their roots aren't coming down too far. Just on the ones that are getting really long. And I'm taking out all the floating plants. I'll put some back in at the end because I want to get any plants that are floating around. I just want to get rid of those. Except for my floating Anubias. This thing has been floating around in my tank for probably about a year now, and it just floats around from place to place, so it doesn't know quite which way to grow, which is I'll probably cut it up and propagate it, stick it to some wood sometime, but I've just been letting it float around. It's actually doing really good. I got some HC carpet that's just floating around as well. I'm just letting that float too. From all the neglect on the AR, I got some of these leaves. Hopefully you can see that on camera. Some of these leaves are getting algae on them, pretty green. Can wipe that off, or what I like to do is just pull them out. Any leaves that are getting like a lot of algae on it, I just clip them off with my fingers. You're supposed to use scissors, but it's better to use scissors. So any leaves with too much algae, I'm just pulling off. It'll grow back if I keep up on my maintenance. it won't happen again. By maintenance, I just mean water changes and fertilization. Not doing enough water changes is what led up to this. Just too much nutrient buildup. Going on vacation, not changing the water when I got back. So this red plant, the AR, has kind of just been staying this size, just getting more bushy and bushy. It's not really trying to immerse out of the water. I have a little thin out sesh right now. So these crypts were doing really good, but they're kind of getting covered in algae right now. Sometimes it'll wipe off. Yeah, it's wiping off. Sometimes I just like to wipe it off the leaves. Got a lot of detritus going on right now. So here's a S. repens purple, Styrgine purple, however you say it. I'm doing the same thing. Any leaves that have a lot of algae, I'm just clipping off with my finger, doing a little thinning out. I noticed this plant likes to be covered by other plants. It's always sending runners into the densely planted areas. And some of the leaves are just a little too much algae. They'll grow back, and in a few days this tank will look back to clean. So right here I got some Ranunculus inundatus that is creeping into the S. repens. So I'm going to pull it out, and we got it right here. There's some other plants kind of set up into it. So what I like to do is, I could see these ones are kind of covered in algae, but I'm going to save these really healthy looking ones right here. And what I like to do with this plant is it sends runners. So you got these runners. I just like to take off the runner part, leave this leaf with a root, take off the runner, leave these leaves with roots, put them together, and take my tweezers and just plant them. Plant them back in. Now that I see that I've missed some algae on the glass right in front of these guys. Get in front of this HC2. Now this HC Cuba is coming up. I'm just kind of leaving it. I'm kind of trying to just propagate it for my other aquascape. So right here it's kind of coming up. What I should do is take that out, replant it. I guess I could do that right now. So what I'm going to do is just cut it right here where it's coming up. Take it. And I'm just going to grab it by clumps, break it up, try to grab some roots of it, just bring it right back in there. If you don't trim this stuff enough, it'll just pop right up. I don't trim it enough. The stuff kind of goes through phases, I noticed, HC. It's probably because there's not enough nutrients in the soil, but you can see some dark parts where there's a little algae growing, but this whole thing looked like that, and now the middle's kind of perking up. There's more meticulous ways to plant this, but this is kind of just my overgrow tank, so I'm not getting too detailed on it. I just want it to propagate. Not too concerned with how it looks right now. And right now it looks splotchy and bad, but this'll grow in. Then I can give it a trim later once it roots some more. Plant one and the rest pop up. So that'll all root later. It'll fill in. The S. repens is looking really good. I was having a little problem with this black algae that was coming up on it. There's a few leaves here covered in algae, so I'm just going to clip those out. I like to do this just to get the algae away from the plant. Keep doing this and then keep up on maintenance, and it goes away. Now this S. repens is ready to propagate. I do want to propagate this stuff because I want to use it in my upstairs scape. I think I'm going to move this ranunculus that I planted earlier. I'll just put it over here or something because I'd rather have the S. repens over here. So these are the leaves I'm talking about. This is really healthy over here, but you got these few leaves with this black algae. I'm just gonna pull those off, and this stuff actually rubs off really good. So I'll get a few leaves ready, and I like to pull off the lower leaves before I plant. That way it gives the stem to go in. So I just pulled off the lower leaves on these. This is how you propagate S. repens. Should have probably had more stem on these, but just put them in like that. Those will pop right up later. So what I've done on these is pulled off all the lower leaves, leaving those stems. I'll pop this guy on here too and pop them in. Got a few more here. S. repens really grips good into the soil, and it doesn't matter if they're buried like that in there. That'll help keep them down, and they'll push all that soil up later. I'm gonna reach back here, see how these Snow White, I think they are doing. These aren't doing very well in this tank. Getting a little brown. Probably not getting enough light, so I'll move these. I think I'll put them right here. They'll get more light. They'll be seen. And they're also covered a little by the other plants. Let's see if I can get this HC a little more wedged down in there. Got some tonina going right here. It's probably time for a little trimming of the stems in the back and replanting. I don't have time for that today. I'm going to throw my floating anubias back in. So this isn't really green dust algae. It's kind of sticking to it more. It's a little more fuzzy, so this could be green spot algae. What I'm doing with green dust algae in my other tank is I'm dosing so much phosphate because aqua soil kind of absorbs phosphate. I'm dosing like literally 4 times, 5 times what I would normally dose, because I dose it and then the next day it's gone. The aqua soil absorbs it. So I'm trying to keep phosphate in the water column at all times on my other tank, see how it goes, see if that helps the green dust algae. That's the only algae I'm having in the other tank. And this is the other tank. So this tank's killing it. That's keeping up on water changes. Actually, not even that much, but it has aqua soil to kind of keep that balance too with nutrients. Like I said, the fluval stratum isn't that nutrient heavy. I think those are the main differences. Like you can even see the way the plants grow. Like the same plant, like that tonina right there, is I planted that at the same time as that tonina right there. So in this tank over here, it kills it. I mean, there's a lot more light on that tank too. Probably when I add some aqua soil, I'm gonna bump up this light over here, bump up CO2. So light's a factor there too. Where is my net? So now I'm gonna just net out anything that's floating around. There's some boost floating around. Any leaves. There's a lot of pink flamingos floating around. I should probably plant some of this stuff. So now I'll just take my net, try to gather any floating leaves from trimming, any plants floating around. Because that will all just die, turn to detritus, cause issues. Looks like an algae pellet they didn't eat. Right now I have 3 platies in here, and I saw it where I bought them, Petco. They were eating algae pellets, so algae wafers, so I bought some for them. I didn't know platies ate stuff like that, but they do. I feed them regular food too, but so now I'm going to do a pretty big water change. Get the siphon going. So now I'm just trying to pull up any detritus or anything that's chilling on the ground. I like to cause a little commotion like that with the hose. What I'm doing is I'm plugging this side so no water's coming out, and then I just kind of stir it up a little bit on the bottom, suck up whatever comes up. So plug the bottom of the hose, stir it up, get some of that stuff coming up, and then let go of the hose, suck it all up. Now what I should have done before replanting this HC was gravel vac not gravel vac, but siphon the area. You don't really want to gravel vac aqua soil. Get back here in the corner. Now a lot of dirt happens back here in the corner because that's where the intakes are. That's a good place to clean. Now I'm really stoked about this part. I installed a drain in the room next door. I mean, there was a drain, but I installed a sink to drain with, so now I don't have to carry this all the way upstairs. I just carry it in the room next door, so be right back. All right, now I'm gonna do a pretty big water change since it's been so long. Still seeing some algae on this S purple. What I do is I just take off the leaves and I start over. Anything that looks like messed up, it grows back. Like I said, if you keep up on maintenance, it grows back lush. Keep it healthy. Figure out what your plants want, and you won't have problems with algae all over the leaves. Round 2 on the siphon. I got a lot of plants just floating around in this tank. Like I said, it's kind of just like my overflow plant holding tank, so I don't have to get too crazy on it with how it looks. And almost 2 buckets on that. That should be good. So what I would normally do after this, since you saw all that plant material floating around, little pieces of roots, like all kinds of stuff, is I have this Marine Land Magnum polishing filter. So after this water change, I would usually run this with the polishing pad in it, and that'll pick up any detritus, little pieces of root, whatever. Not doing that today just because I don't have the time, but this works really well for that. Might run it tomorrow or something. So I'm gonna go empty this water out and be right back. So for my water changes, I use good old gravity. If you have lily pipes, they're great for diffusing water when you're siphoning water back in. I like to shoot the water right into the lily pipe. It kind of diffuses it so it doesn't kick up any plants. It doesn't kick up too much aqua soil. So the final thing I do is wipe the glass microfiber cloth. I just use tank water. Just dip it in there, give it a nice wipe down, and good to go. So now that the filter's on, it's kind of kicking all this plant material around. I like to go in and just net out anything floating that I can, because that's going to decompose later. Just add on to the detritus. So like I said, this is basically a plant overflow tank. I like to keep all the species I've ever gotten in here. If I could just keep one little part of every plant, then I still have it. Part of the collectoritis of the hobby. That's why I haven't got rid of this ranunculus and undatus right here, because I just want to have it. This rotala green back here, I've had for years, off of the same tissue culture. Same with this Rotala macranda variegated right here, where the net is. Someone sent me like 2 stems of it. Now I have like 150 stems of it. This Pogostemon erectus back here, this started as a tissue culture. I have some in my other tank too. This was a tissue culture of about 2 plants about that big, and now I've got a lot of it. I've went through a lot of it. I've thrown it away. I've thrown a lot of plants away just because I didn't have room for them. That's part of the idea of the fish room, is just being able to keep building out, sell plants that are overgrowing. Take off a few more of these leaves here. And the tank's already looking 90% better. It'll look better tomorrow even, after the water clears up some more. This is directly after the water change. So I'll do a shot tomorrow how it's looking. But now I just need to keep up on ferts and a weekly water change, and it'll get back to stabilized. I am going to redo this whole tank, but I'm going to be planting it with the same plants that are in it, except it'll be more thinned out, because I got an aquascape going upstairs, and not a lot of these plants, but some of these plants like the S. repens will be going in there. So the turkey baster is good for, a lot of dirt gathered up on these S. repens. Just blow off the dirt. Same with the HC. Turkey baster is good for when you're siphoning too. You can kind of hit that substrate, kick up all the dust, suck it up in your siphon. So now that that's all done, I will get my floating plants, throw them back in. I hope I didn't lose my red root floater. There's a piece of it. That's all I need. One piece of red root floater. That'll turn into many. It's another piece of red root floater. So we'll get the thermometer back on there. It could probably use a little top off, but what ifs. So this is just all the trimmings and crap I took out. Stuff floating around. I like to look around in it. Found a boost. Don't want to get rid of that. Someday I'll have a proper setup for boost. Until then, I just let them float. I do have this bucephalandra bucephalandra right here growing. It's doing pretty good. It's on a little piece of wood. Just like to go through everything I took out, make sure I didn't take out any buse or anubias or anything. Piece of S. repens and plenty of that. So that's basically everything I trimmed out of it. By the way, these tins are great. You get them at the dollar store. Great for holding plants on. So this is all trash. Well, that's it for today's video. Just kind of going through my maintenance routine. If a tank's getting neglected, a little bit overgrown, and a little bit of algae issues. I hope it helped out anyone starting in the planted tank hobby, or just anyone trying to get some more information. If you like the content, please subscribe. I appreciate anyone that subscribed to this channel. And as always, thanks for watching. Peace.